Have you ever imagined what would happen if a firm is sued for defrauding? Did you know that the major scandals in the world are related to financial organizations? What would you have done if you were indulged in a scam, or if you were a victim of the scam? Let's find out. The Wells Fargo cross-selling scandal is a debate carried about by making millions of scheming savings and reviewing reports for Wells Fargo clients without their authorization. The outcome of these fake charges persists in having legal, monetary, and reputational ramifications for Wells Fargo and one-time bank directors as recently as November 2022. Initial statements accused individual Wells Fargo branch workers and managers of the problem and sales incentives associated with selling multiple solutions or financial products. This blame was later shifted to top-down intimidation from higher-level administration to open as many accounts as possible via cross-selling. The following range, and the divulgence of other scheming practices employed by the organization. Retail bank's success was partly measured by the average number of products held by a customer, and Wells Fargo was long considered the most successful cross-seller. Richard Kovacevic, the one-time CEO of Norwest Corporation, and later Wells Fargo, allegedly invented the strategy while at Norwest. Wells Fargo's sales culture, cross-selling strategy, and impact on customers were documented by the Wall Street Journal as early as 2011. In the Los Angeles Times reports, under pressure from their supervisors, employees often open accounts without customer consent. California Treasurer John Chang stated that. Versure illustrates the findings of the Wells Fargo investigation, which show employees also opened online banking services and ordered debit cards without customer consent. Blame is being placed on the bank's marketing incentive plan, which set extremely high sales goals for employees to cross-sell additional banking products to existing customers, whether or not the customers needed or wanted them. These added products were made feasible in part through a technique known as pinning. By setting the customer's PIN to 0000, bankers could manage client accounts and enlist them in programs such as online banking. Employees took actions to fulfill quotas, had the registration of the homeless in fee-accruing financial products. Statements of unattainable goals and unacceptable behavior by employees to managers did not result in changes to anticipations. After the Los Angeles Times report, the bank made minor efforts to reform the company's sales culture. These enclosed life insurance policies are by Prudential Financial, and renters insurance policies are by Assurant. 3 whistleblowers and Prudential employees brought the fraud to light. Prudential later fired these employees and announced that it might seek damages from Wells Fargo. Stumpf bore accountability for the problems, but in September 2016, when the anecdote broke, he revealed he had no plans to quit. Stumpf was subject to a hearing before the Senate Banking Committee on September 21, 2016, in action led by Senator Elizabeth Warren. Before the hearing, Sloan suggested there had not been inner pressure for Stumpf's concession, and that he had decided to do so after nailing that the best thing for Wells Fargo to move forward was for him to retire. In November 2016, the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency imposed additional fines against the bank, removing conditions from the September settlement. Stumpf received objection for honoring the former head of retail banking, Carrie Tolstead, upon her retirement earlier in 2016, given that the bank had been dissecting retail banking practices for several years. Payments to law firms and other external advisors resulted in increased expenses. Prosecutors, counting Preet Bharara in New York City and others in San Francisco and North Carolina, extended their probes into the fabrication. The Securities and Exchange Commission fanned its analysis of the bank in November 2016. However, this compensation does not cover forthcoming litigation against individual bank employees. John Chang, the Chang, mentioned the organization's apathy for the well-being of Californians as the reason for the conclusion and pointed the suspension would last for a year. Chang later augmented these boycotts against the bank for a second year. The television ad opens with the bank's origins in the Old West, references the scandal, and fast-forwards to depict bank employees and customers. Almost a year later, in January 2019, the firm declared another overhaul of its image in a campaign called "This is Wells Fargo." The company later paid this fine. The bank has also confronted an inquiry into the sales techniques used by the company's financial advisors. Do you think this scandal was enough to fool such a large crowd? What would you have done if you were a victim of such scams? Comment down what you guys think about this scam. Do you believe the scam was due to pressure from the top management, or was it for the employees' personal benefits? Until next time, adios.